My girlfriend cheated on me with my cousin, and my sister posted online saying cheaters deserve second chances. My parents even supported it. So I stopped the financial support, and now they're spiraling. I, 28 male, been grinding since college, worked my way up from junior developer to senior engineer in 6 years. I make good money, not Silicon Valley ridiculous, but comfortable 6 figures. Own my condo outright, drive a paid-off truck, got a healthy investment portfolio. I'm not saying this to brag, but it matters for the story later. Growing up, I was always the responsible one in my family. My sister Maya, 26 female, was the golden child who could do no wrong. Classic younger sibling treatment. She got away with everything while I was expected to have my life together from age 12. Mom and dad weren't abusive or anything. Just your typical older kid gets all the responsibility. Younger kid gets all the attention dynamic. Dad worked construction most of his life. Mom was a receptionist at a dental office. They did their best, but money was always tight. We weren't poor, but we definitely weren't comfortable. I remember wearing hand-me-downs from cousins, eating a lot of rice and beans, and my parents stressing about bills pretty much constantly. There were nights I'd hear them arguing in their bedroom about which bill to pay first, which one could wait another week. That kind of financial stress leaves a mark on a kid. You know, that financial insecurity shaped me big time. I started working at 15, landscaping, then retail, then eventually got into coding through some free online courses, put myself through community college, then transferred to state school, worked full-time while taking classes. Never asked my parents for a dime after high school because I knew they didn't have it to give. I'd see Dad's face when bills came in the mail, that look of resignation and stress, and I swore I'd never be in that position. Meanwhile, Maya went to a private college. They took out loans for that, changed majors 3 times, graduated with a communications degree she's never used, and now works as a social media consultant, which basically means she posts on Instagram for small businesses and makes maybe $30,000 a year. She still lives in their basement at 26, pays no rent, and contributes nothing to household expenses. Her biggest monthly expense is her latte budget and getting her nails done every 2 weeks. But I'm not bitter about that, really. Okay, maybe a little. It's hard not to be when you worked your ass off to avoid being a burden while watching your sibling coast through life on your parents' generosity. Fast forward to about 3 years ago. I met Jenna, 27 female, at a friend's barbecue. She was smart, funny, gorgeous, had her own career as a physical therapist, her own apartment, her own life. We clicked immediately. I remember talking to her for 3 hours straight that first night, just sitting on the back porch while everyone else was inside playing beer pong. She told me about growing up without a mom, about putting herself through school, about building her practice from nothing. I felt like I'd finally met someone who got it, you know? Someone who understood the value of working for what you have. By 6 months, we were basically living together. By a year, we were talking about marriage. I had the ring picked out. Was planning to propose at Christmas. Had this whole thing mapped out where I'd take her to the botanical gardens they do up with lights every year, propose by her favorite fountain. My buddy was going to hide in the bushes and take photos. It was going to be perfect. My family loved her. Mom was already picking out grandmother names. Dad taught her how to use his smoker for brisket. Spent entire Saturdays showing her his technique for the perfect bark. Even Maya seemed to genuinely like her, which was rare because Maya tends to be pretty competitive with other women. Usually she'd find something to criticize. The way a girl laughed was too loud or she tried too hard or whatever. But with Jenna, she actually seemed happy for me. Everything was perfect, or so I thought. Enter Derek, 29 male, my cousin on my dad's side. Derek's always been a mess. Dropped out of college sophomore year, worked random jobs, never held anything down for more than a year, but he's got that whole charming screw-up thing going on that somehow makes people want to help him. He's good-looking, can talk his way into anything, and has this way of making his problems sound like temporary setbacks rather than a pattern of poor decisions. The kind of guy who'd borrow $50 and make you feel good about lending it to him. Last year, Derek showed up at Thanksgiving saying he'd been evicted and needed a place to crash just for a couple weeks. My dad, being the soft-hearted guy he is, let him move into their spare room. That spare room had been my old bedroom, actually. Still had some of my old stuff in the closet. Those couple weeks turned into months. Derek would occasionally help Dad with handyman stuff around the house, which Dad counted as rent. The dude literally lived there for free, eating their food, using their utilities, while contributing maybe 5 hours of work a week. Meanwhile, I was sending my parents $2,000 a month, and Derek wasn't contributing a dime. Here's where things get messy. Jenna started spending more time at my parents' house. She loved hanging with my mom, helping her cook, doing that whole bonding with the future in-laws thing. I thought it was sweet. Mom was teaching her family recipes. They'd have these long conversations about life, and Jenna said she felt like she was getting the mom-daughter relationship she'd never had. Her own mother passed when she was young. She'd text me photos of whatever she and Mom were baking, send me videos of Dad showing her how to smoke a brisket. It felt like she was becoming part of the family in all the best ways. But Jenna wasn't just bonding with my mom. She was also getting very friendly with Derek. At first I didn't notice. Or maybe I noticed and didn't want to see it. But looking back, the signs were everywhere. She'd mentioned Derek a lot. Derek told this funny story. Or Derek needs a ride to a job interview. I said I'd take him. She started dressing up more when she was going to my parents' place. Would do her hair and makeup just to help Mom with dinner. I'd come pick her up from my parents' place, and she'd be laughing with Derek in the garage, standing just a little too close. My sister actually made a comment about it once. We were at Sunday dinner and Jenna had gone outside to take a work call. Maya leaned over and said quietly, "Jenna and Derek seemed pretty cozy lately." I laughed it off. Derek was my cousin. The idea that something could happen seemed ridiculous. "They're just friends," I said. Maya gave me this look like she wanted to say more, but then Jenna came back, and the moment passed. 3 months ago, everything fell apart. I was supposed to meet Jenna for dinner after work. I'd been putting in crazy hours on a major project trying to hit a deadline for a promotion I'd been working toward for over a year. She'd been understanding about it, or at least that's what she said. "You're building our future," she'd tell me. I get it. So I'd work late sometimes until 9 or 10 at night while she'd hang out at my parents' place or meet friends for drinks. This particular night I wrapped up early and decided to surprise her at her apartment with takeout from her favorite Thai place. I texted her, "Working late? Order yourself something," so she wouldn't be expecting me. Wanted it to be a real surprise. Got the pad Thai. She loved the spring rolls. Even splurged on the fancy mango sticky rice dessert. Used my key, walked in and heard noises from the bedroom. You know where this is going. The TV wasn't on. The sounds were definitely not coming from a TV show. My brain did this weird thing where it tried to rationalize what I was hearing. Maybe she was watching something on her phone. Maybe she had a friend over and they were laughing about something, but deep down I knew. I found them in her bed in my girlfriend's bed. Derek scrambling to grab his jeans from the floor. Jenna pulling the sheets up, face going from post-sex flush to pure terror in about 3 seconds. There was a bottle of wine on the nightstand, 2 glasses. Her clothes were in a trail from the bedroom door to the bed. The craziest part, I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just stood there holding a bag of pad Thai and spring rolls and said, "Huh?" Jenna started crying immediately. "Baby, this isn't what it looks like." "Really?" I interrupted. "Because it looks like you're fucking my cousin in your bed. Is there some other interpretation I'm missing?" Derek, to his credit, at least had the decency to look ashamed. He was fumbling with his shirt, couldn't get it on right, kept getting tangled in the sleeves. He muttered something about, "It just happened," and tried to leave, but I blocked the doorway. "Nah, you don't get to just leave," I said. My voice was weirdly calm, like I was commenting on the weather. "You're going to stand there and explain to me how this just happened." "Man, I'm sorry," Derek started. "We didn't mean for how long?" I asked Jenna, ignoring him completely. She couldn't look at me, stared at the sheets bunched up in her hands. 2 months. 2 months. While I was working my ass off to get this promotion that would have let us buy a house together. While she was texting me, "I love you. Can't wait to see you tonight," knowing she was meeting up with Derek on her lunch breaks while I was looking at engagement rings and planning the perfect proposal. The details came out over the next hour. They'd started talking more when she was at my parents' place. He'd been helping her with some issue with her car. Of course, Derek had told her she deserved someone who paid more attention to her, who wasn't always working. One thing led to another. They'd been meeting at her apartment when I was working late at hotels when they wanted to be extra careful. Even once at my parents' house when everyone else was at work and they had the place to themselves. That last detail hit me like a punch to the gut. In my childhood home in that house where I'd grown up, where Mom taught Jenna her recipes, where Dad showed her his smoking technique, they defiled that too. "I never meant to hurt you," Jenna kept saying. "I just felt so lonely. You were always working. And Derek was there and he made me feel special. I was working for us," I said. "For our future, for the house we were going to buy." "I know, but there is no but. You fucked my cousin for 2 months in this bed that I helped you pick out with sheets I bought you for your birthday." Derek tried the wounded angle. "I never had what you have, man. You've always had everything together. Just this once I wanted something good." I actually laughed at that. "So you decided to take my girlfriend. That's your version of having something good. She wanted to be with me." "Get out," I told him. "Get the fuck out of here before I forget we're related." He left. Jenna tried to stop me from leaving, saying we needed to talk about this, that she could explain, but I was done. Just set the Thai food on her kitchen counter and walked out. Drove to my condo, sat in my living room, and just processed. The next day, I called my parents to tell them what happened. Wanted to get ahead of whatever spin Derek and Jenna might put on it. Plus, I figured they should know, given that they'd welcomed Jenna into the family, given that Derek was living under their roof rent-free. Mom answered. I told her the story straight. Found them in bed together. Relationship over. I'm done with both of them. Expected her to be shocked, angry on my behalf, to immediately tell Derek to pack his shit. "You know what my mom said?" "Well, Derek's been going through a really tough time. I'm sure he didn't mean to hurt you." I actually pulled the phone away from my ear and looked at it like it was broken. "Did you hear what I just said? He was sleeping with Jenna. My Jenna." "I heard you, honey. But Derek's always been sensitive. And you know how he gets when he's stressed? He makes poor decisions." "Oh, so cheating with your cousin's girlfriend is just how he handles stress. Good to know. Just one of those whoopsie-daisy mistakes we all make when life gets hard." "Mom, this wasn't a poor decision. This was a betrayal. He knew we were together. He lived under your roof that I helped pay for. He was at our family dinners pretending to be supportive while he was sleeping with her behind my back. I know, sweetie, but family is family. We have to find a way to forgive and move forward." That phrase, family is family, I'd heard it my whole life. Usually when Maya screwed up and I was expected to be understanding now, it was being used to excuse Derek literally sleeping with my girlfriend. Dad got on the phone and at least said he was sorry this happened to me. But even he was like, "Derek made a mistake. We're family. We need to forgive and move forward. Maybe in a few months when everyone's calmed down, you two can talk it out. Forgive and move forward. Talk it out." Like this was some minor disagreement about borrowed tools or something. "Talk what out exactly?" I asked. "What's there to discuss? The fact that he was fucking my girlfriend for 2 months? The timeline of their betrayal? Which positions they used? There's no need to be crass," Mom said. "Crass. I'm being realistic. There's nothing to talk about. I'm done with Derek and I'm done with Jenna. You're upset now, but in time, what? I'll magically forget that my girlfriend cheated on me with our cousin? That my family thinks his feelings matter more than mine? But fine. I figured I'd at least have Maya on my side. She'd always had this protective streak, always called out people who messed with family. Called her next. "Hey, heard about the Jenna thing," she said when she answered. "That sucks, bro." "Yeah, it really does. But honestly, if Jenna wasn't happy with you, at least she found someone who makes her feel alive. Like you were always working. Maybe this is a wake-up call about work-life balance." I hung up on her, spent the next week in a fog, went to work, came home, ordered takeout, stared at the wall. My best friend Jake kept checking in on me, but I didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to hear any more people tell me to look on the bright side or learn from this experience or whatever other shit people say when they want you to get over something that destroyed you. A week later, Derek and Jenna made it Facebook official. Posted this whole lovey-dovey thing about when you know, and sometimes love finds you when you're not looking, with a photo of them kissing like they were some cute meet-cute story, instead of two people who'd been sneaking around behind my back for months. The caption Derek wrote was particularly grating. Life has a funny way of bringing people together. When you find someone who understands you, who sees you for who you really are, you have to follow your heart. Here's to new beginnings and finding love in unexpected places. The comments were full of people who didn't know the backstory, saying how cute they were, how happy they looked. Congratulations on finding love. My Aunt Carol commented, beautiful couple with 3 heart emojis. My cousin Sarah wrote, finally, Derek, so happy for you both. My sister liked the post. My mom liked the post. Even one of my aunts commented with heart emojis. They were all publicly celebrating the relationship that started with my girlfriend cheating on me with my cousin. I blocked them both on everything. Blocked Derek, blocked Jenna, blocked anyone who'd liked or commented support on that post. Deleted my Facebook entirely, actually. Just needed to not see any of it. Threw myself into work for the next 2 months. Got that promotion I'd been working toward. Senior engineer with a $40,000 raise. Didn't even tell my family because, honestly, I wasn't talking to them much anyway. What was the point? So they could congratulate me and then ask how I was doing with the Derek situation like it was some minor family squabble. Here's something I haven't mentioned yet. I've been financially supporting my parents for the last 5 years. When I got my first real job after college, I started sending them $500 a month to help with bills. As I got raises and promotions, that number went up. By the time Jenna and I broke up, I was giving them $2,000 a month. Mortgage payment, part of their car, insurance, groceries, utilities, you name it. I'd increased it last year when Dad had some medical bills from a back injury. Increased it again when their property taxes went up. They never asked for it directly. I just started doing it because I knew they struggled, and I finally had the means to help. It made me feel good to be able to take care of them after they'd sacrificed for Maya and me growing up. Felt like I was finally able to give back after all those years of watching them stress about money. $2,000 a month for 5 years. That's $120,000. $120,000 I'd given them. Not loaned, given. Never expected it back. Never held it over their heads. Just quietly transferred it on the first of every month like clockwork. And they couldn't even take my side when their nephew betrayed me with my girlfriend. I was still sending the money, though, even while they were liking Derek and Jenna's posts. Even while Mom was sending me texts about how I need to learn to forgive, and Derek is really struggling with guilt right now. You should reach out to him. I was still auto-transferring $2,000 into their account on the first of every month. Part of me felt like an idiot for it, but part of me couldn't let them struggle even if they'd chosen Derek over me. That's what years of being the responsible one does to you. You keep being responsible even when no one appreciates it. Then came Maya's Instagram post. I hadn't blocked Maya on Instagram because she barely used it. But one day I was scrolling and saw her post from a week earlier. It was one of those deep thought aesthetic posts. You know the type. Pretty sunset background with text overlay and some cursive font. The text read, cheaters deserve second chances. People make mistakes. True love means forgiving. Stop being bitter and let people grow. My mom had liked it. My dad had liked it. 6 of my other relatives had liked it. There were comments from family friends saying, so true and very mature perspective. I sat there staring at my phone for probably 20 minutes. Read it over and over, trying to understand how my own sister could post something like that, knowing what I'd gone through, knowing that I was still dealing with the fallout of Derek and Jenna's mistake. The audacity of it was breathtaking. The complete lack of self-awareness. Or maybe it was full self-awareness and she just didn't give a fuck about me. Then I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic transfer to my parents. Set up an email to send to them at 8 a.m. The next morning, right when the transfer would have normally hit, the email was short. Mom and Dad, I've been thinking a lot about Maya's recent post about second chances and forgiveness. You both liked it, so I assume you agree with her philosophy. I'm a big believer in second chances too. So I'm giving you both a second chance. A second chance to pay your own bills like you did before I started helping you 5 years ago. As of today, my monthly contribution of $2,000 is permanently discontinued. I have every faith that you'll figure it out just like you did before I started sending money. Also, Maya's right that people make mistakes. Derek and Jenna made a mistake for 2 months straight. I made the mistake of thinking my family would have my back when I was betrayed by people I loved. We all deserve second chances to learn from our mistakes. Love your son, who apparently needs to learn to forgive and stop being bitter. Sent it, went to bed, slept like a baby for the first time in months. My phone started ringing at 8:32 a.m. Mom's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She called again and again 12 times in a row before switching to texts. Finally sent her a text. Can't talk in a meeting. She texted back, call me right now. This is important. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went about my day. Had actual meetings at work, but even if I hadn't, I wasn't in the mood to deal with whatever crisis they thought justified, calling me 12 times. By lunch, I had 23 missed calls. Mom, Dad, Maya, even my Aunt Karen, who'd commented hearts on Derek and Jenna's announcement post. The voicemails were something else. First one from Mom. Honey, I don't know what's going on, but the money didn't come through today. Can you check your bank? There must be some kind of error. Third one from Mom. This isn't funny. We have bills due. Please call me back. Your father's mortgage payment is due on the 5th. Seventh one from Dad. Son, I know you're upset, but this isn't the way to handle things. Call us. We need to talk about this. 10th one from Maya. Are you seriously doing this to mom and dad over a breakup? Grow up. This is so childish. They didn't do anything to you. 15th one from Aunt Karen. Your mother called me in tears. What is going on? Why would you cut them off? That's your family. I didn't respond to any of them. That evening, I finally called them back. All three of them were at my parents' house when I FaceTimed. Oh, thank God, Mom said immediately. We've been trying to reach you all day. I know. I was busy. Did you get my voicemails? The payment didn't go through. It wasn't supposed to. Silence. I watched their faces on the screen. Mom's mouth opening and closing. Dad leaning forward like he hadn't heard right. Maya in the background looking confused. What do you mean? Dad finally asked. I mean, I canceled it. I'm not sending money anymore. Mom's face went white. You can't do that. We need that money. The mortgage is due next week. The car insurance is due. We have bills. You'll figure it out. You did before I started helping. That was different, she said, voice rising. We were younger. We made more money. Derek wasn't living here. Oh, so Derek living there rent-free is my responsibility to subsidize. More silence. Maya came into frame, arms crossed. This is so petty, she said. You're punishing them because you're mad about Jenna. No, Maya, I'm taking your advice. You said people deserve second chances, right? I'm giving mom and dad a second chance to handle their own finances like adults. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Then what did you mean? Because from where I'm sitting, you posted about forgiving cheaters right after our cousin started dating my ex-girlfriend of 3 years. Mom and dad both liked that post. So, clearly you all think Derek and Jenna deserve understanding and support. We do, Mom said quietly. They're family. Relationships are complicated. You can't just write people off because they made a mistake. So am I. So are you what? Family. I'm family too, but I'm the one who gets written off. I'm the one who's expected to forgive and forget and be understanding while Derek gets to live in your house rent-free after betraying me. Dad finally spoke up. Son, you have to understand. No, Dad, you have to understand. I've given you $120,000 over 5 years. When I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me with our own family member, you told me I needed to forgive Derek because he's sensitive and going through a tough time. When Maya posted about how cheaters deserve second chances, you liked it. You literally endorsed the idea that what they did to me isn't a big deal. That's not fair, Mom said, tears starting to form. We never said it wasn't a big deal. You didn't have to say it. You showed me. You sided with them. You kept Derek living in your house. You celebrated their relationship. You told me to learn to forgive while my money paid for Derek's free ride. So you're just going to cut us off? Maya said, over hurt feelings? You're going to let mom and dad lose their house because your girlfriend dumped you? I actually laughed. Hurt feelings? That's what you think this is? What else would you call it? How about betrayal? How about realizing that my family values my cousin's feelings more than mine? How about discovering that my parents think $2,000 a month is less important than staying neutral in a situation where there shouldn't be a neutral side? Life isn't black and white, Dad said using his disappointed father voice. These situations are complicated. Derek made a mistake, yes, but cutting us off financially isn't going to fix anything. You're right. Life isn't black and white, but here's something that is. You can either have my financial support and take my side when family betrays me, or you can stay neutral and pay your own bills. You chose neutral. Now you get to pay your own bills. Where is this coming from? Mom asked, crying harder now. This isn't like you. You've always been so generous, so understanding. What happened to you? I learned from the best. Derek made a choice that hurt me, and you're being understanding. So I'm making a choice that hurts you, and you can be understanding about that too. That's not the same thing. Maya cut in. Why not? You said people make mistakes. I made the mistake of financially supporting parents who would choose a nephew over their own son. Now I'm correcting that mistake. Dad tried a different approach. What do you want from us? An apology? We'll apologize. We're sorry, but you can't just abandon us like this. I want what I've always wanted, for my family to have my back. But that ship sailed when you let Derek stay in your house after what he did. When you liked Maya's post. When you told me I needed to be more forgiving, you made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Derek doesn't have anywhere else to go, Dad said desperately. Not my problem. He's your cousin, and Jenna was my girlfriend. Didn't stop him. And being my cousin sure as hell didn't stop you from taking his side. Maya was getting red in the face. You're really going to do this? You're really going to let our parents struggle because you can't handle a breakup like an adult? Maya, do me a favor. Post something on Instagram about how adults handle financial independence. I'm sure mom and dad will like that one too. I hung up before any of them could respond. The next few days were absolutely insane. I got texts from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Apparently word spread fast that I'd cut my parents off financially. Aunt Karen, your mother is crying. How could you do this to her? She raised you better than this. Cousin Mike, dude, that's cold. Even for a bad breakup. They're your parents. Uncle Tom really disappointed in you right now. Family takes care of family. Even my grandma called, sweetie, I raised your father better than to abandon his parents. What would your grandfather say? I sent the same response to everyone. If you're concerned about their finances, feel free to send them money yourself. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Radio silence after that. Funny how everyone had opinions about what I should do, but none of them were willing to step up themselves. A week later, Dad called. Just him this time. Can we talk? Just you and me? No, Maya, no. Your mother. Man to man. I agreed to meet him at a diner halfway between my place and theirs. He looked tired when he walked in, older somehow than the last time I'd seen him. His hair seemed grayer, more lines around his eyes. He'd lost weight too. Your mother and I have been talking, he started after we ordered coffee. Okay, we don't have the money to cover everything without your help. We're going to have to make some hard choices. Like what? Like telling Derek he needs to find somewhere else to stay. I sipped my coffee. That's a start. We also talked to Maya. She's going to start paying rent. $500 a month. How much? $500. I did the math in my head. That's $1,500 short of what I was giving you. We know. We're going to have to cut back on other things. Cable's getting canceled. We're looking at cheaper cell phone plans. Your mother's going to have to go back to work full-time instead of part-time. What about the loan payments for Maya's school? He winced. We can't afford those anymore either. We're going to have to see if we can defer them or maybe get on an income-based repayment plan. Her credit's going to take a hit. Huh. We sat in silence for a minute. The diner was mostly empty, just us and an older couple in the corner. The waitress came by to top off our coffee, and Dad waited until she left before continuing. I'm sorry, he finally said, voice rough. I didn't realize how much we'd hurt you. Your mother and I just didn't want to take sides. We thought we were keeping the family together. That's the thing, Dad. Sometimes not taking a side is taking a side. When you stayed neutral, you told me that Derek's feelings mattered as much as mine, even though he's the one who betrayed me. We thought we were doing the right thing. For who? For Derek, because it sure as hell wasn't the right thing for me. You kept Derek. You lost me. He looked down at his coffee. I know. And I hate that. I hate that I made you feel like you weren't important to us. Then why did you do it? He was quiet for a long time. Finally, he looked up at me with this defeated expression. Because Derek's always been the one who needed help. You've always had your shit together. We didn't think you needed us the same way he did. We thought you'd be fine on your own because you always are. And there it was. The truth I'd known my whole life but never heard out loud. I was expected to be fine on my own because I'd always been fine on my own. I was punished for being responsible by having to be even more responsible. So I get punished for being responsible, I said. That's not he started, but I held up my hand. Dad, I love you, but I'm done being the one who always has to be understanding. I'm done being the one who has to suck it up because everyone else needs more support. I spent $120,000 helping you guys because I wanted to, because I love you. But you showed me that money means more to this family than my actual feelings. That Derek's comfort matters more than my heartbreak. That's not true. Then why did it take you guys hitting a financial crisis to finally tell Derek to leave? Why didn't you kick him out immediately when you found out what he did? Why did you like Maya's post about forgiving cheaters? He didn't have an answer for that. I'll tell you why I continued. Because as long as I was paying the bills, you could afford to coddle him. My money made it possible for you to let him stay there rent-free, eating your food, using your utilities. I was literally funding his comfortable life while he was sleeping with Jenna. Do you get that? My money enabled his betrayal. Dad's face went pale. I never thought about it like that. Well, now you have plenty of time to think about it. I left $20 on the table for my coffee and walked out. Over the next month, I started hearing through the family grapevine about the changes at my parents' house. The family gossip network was alive and well, even if I wasn't participating in it. Derek moved out not because they kicked him out, but because Maya's $500 rent meant they couldn't afford to feed an extra mouth. He moved in with some friends across town and got a job at a warehouse. Apparently, he and Jenna broke up 2 weeks after he moved out, shocking no one. Their relationship built on betrayal didn't have a solid foundation. Turns out when the excitement of sneaking around is gone and you're just two people who hurt others to be together, there's not much left. I heard through my cousin Mike that Derek had tried calling me from different numbers, but I'd blocked them all. He even tried showing up at my work one day, but building security wouldn't let him up without my clearance. Maya was pissed about having to pay rent. Posted on Instagram about how some people value money more than family, which I'm sure was directed at me. She lasted 3 months before moving in with a boyfriend I'd never heard of. Apparently, she couldn't handle paying $500 a month plus her own bills and still afford her latte and manicure lifestyle. Mom had to go back to work full-time instead of part-time. Dad picked up some side work doing handyman jobs on weekends, advertising on local Facebook groups. I heard from Aunt Karen again. Are you happy now? Your parents are struggling because of you. Your father hurt his back again doing side work. Your mother cries every night. Is this what you wanted? My parents are struggling because they chose to support someone who betrayed me instead of supporting me. Actions have consequences. You're bitter and vindictive. I'm consistent, something my family apparently isn't. What really got me was finding out that several relatives who'd been calling me the bad guy had been approached by my parents for loans and had all said no. These same people who had opinions about my choices couldn't spare $500 to help out, but had plenty of advice about what I should be doing. Uncle Tom, who said family takes care of family, told my parents he couldn't help because he was tight on cash right now. Aunt Karen said she'd love to help, but with Christmas coming up. The hypocrisy was almost impressive. 3 months after I cut them off, I got an unexpected call from Maya. I'm sorry, she said without preamble. I almost dropped my phone. What? I'm sorry. I didn't get it before. I thought you were overreacting, being dramatic, holding a grudge over nothing. But I've been thinking about it a lot. And if someone did to me what Jenna and Derek did to you, I'd lose my mind. And if Mom and Dad took that person's side, I'd be devastated. Why the change of heart? Because now I'm paying rent, dealing with my own bills, and working full-time. I finally get how much you were doing for them. And I realized that you were doing all of that while also building your own life, saving money, planning a future, and they just took it for granted. They took you for granted. It was the most mature thing I'd ever heard her say. I also talked to Jenna, she continued. Why? Because I wanted to understand what happened. I ran into her at Target a few weeks ago. She looked terrible, by the way. We ended up getting coffee and she told me everything. How Derek pursued her. How she knew it was wrong but felt like you didn't care anymore because you were always working. How they'd both convinced themselves you didn't really love her because you weren't around enough. That's bullshit, I know. That's exactly what I told her. You were working your ass off for your future together. You were being responsible and planning ahead, and she took that dedication and twisted it into neglect. And you know what she said? She said she regretted it. That being with Derek made her realize how good she had it with you. That Derek was fun and exciting until he wasn't. Until she actually needed someone stable and realized he was a mess. She said she wished she could go back and make different choices. Good for her. Doesn't change anything. I know. I'm not asking you to forgive her or Derek or even really forgive us. I'm just saying I get it now. You weren't being petty or bitter or holding a grudge. You were hurt, and we made it so much worse. We took the people who hurt you and made them more important than you. That's fucked up. We talked for another hour. She told me about moving in with her boyfriend, how scared she was about being on her own financially, how she finally understood why I'd been so serious about money and responsibility, how she was sorry for all the times she'd rolled her eyes when I talked about investments and retirement accounts and financial planning. It didn't fix everything, but it was a start.